Biju Babu contested elections in India the year I was born. So I don't think I'll be in a position to comment on his rich legacy that he is left behind, that we have all grown up hearing about the heroic deeds that Biju Babu performed, whether it was getting Sultan Shahrir from Indonesia, defying the Dutch and the Dutch colonial rulers, or whether it was landing the Sikh regiment in Srinagar airport, when Pandit Nehru, I believe, told Biju Babu that if you find a single raider near the airstrip, you should not land. And 3 times he went over the airstrip to find that there was nobody there and then dropped the first regiment of Indian soldiers in Srinagar. Now, these are all part of the legendary things that we have. Therefore, the book is appropriately titled as The Tall Man, but he was not only merely a physically tall man, but he was one of the tallest figures in Indian politics, a freedom fighter, and who contributed in his life to create a vision. And it only proves the point that often that is missed nowadays, is that Biju Babu is Biju Babu because of what his vision was, what his work was, what his dedication was to build a modern India, to build a modern Odisha. And he said Odisha in the 21st century would no longer be a land rich in resources, but poor in people. We'll be both rich in people as well as in resources, and the point is to restore the glory of Kalinga. And that was his mission as far as Odisha was concerned, and every breath of his life he dedicated to that. But this industrialization, which based on science and technology, was a pet issue for Biju Babu, and that is why the Kalinga Prize for scientific advance, etc., he had instituted. And anything modern that you can see today in Odisha has Mr. Biju Patnaik's stamp on it. And the Paradip port is full of legends. That's why when Nehru called him the buccaneer of Indian politics, there's a legend, I don't know if it's a story, but if it's the truth, that what you heard just now, Prabhu Chawla quoting Biju Babu, saying to hell with Delhi's money, I'll build Paradip port with our own money from Odisha, and he invested that 160 crores, but after that, Nehru stepped in, but he had to convince Pandit Nehru. The story was that Pandit Nehru said that you can't have a port where there are no people. So in order to show to Pandit Nehru that it is a very thriving coastal village, he flew down Pandit Nehru on the plane and showed him the 1,000-watt bulbs that were put on the seashore, saying that, look at this is the civilization here. And then Paradip came up, and we all know what Paradip meant to Odisha. But my personal interactions with him, he was indeed a tall man, and even everybody used to feel intimidated when we were there, part of the joint coalition politics, particularly during the decade of the 1990s. I remember the United Front Steering Committee meetings. There was a big effort that we were all trying to see that the Vajpayee government, a minority government that was sworn in 1996, whether that government will continue or not, and there was a lot of tension because all the secular forces had come together. Biju Babu was one of the leading figures, and the United Front was formed. But after 13 days, after the Vajpayee government was done, then the United Front government took over with Mr. Devgowda as the Prime Minister, and those were very tense times, whether the government will be formed or not formed, etc. And I still remember Biju Babu coming, putting his hand on my shoulder, and I said we always had to look up to him because of his height. And he said, don't worry, young man, everything will be all right. India's secularism will be saved, will be defended by all of us, and that is what he ultimately contributed and led to. And I think in today's times, this is very important to understand. I was there yesterday in Bombay, where many leaders of the opposition parties, many artists, many thinkers, many intellectuals all participated, saying that to mark the Independence Day as Save Constitution Day. Every single area is coming under assault, whether it's the institutions of parliamentary democracy, whether it's the institutions, statutory institutions in our country, the need for us is to defend. Here it is not only a question of what politics you belong to, or which political streak that you belong to in India's entire spectrum. What is important today is to defend what Biju Babu stood for all his life, that is to build a modern India supremely wedded to the principles of secular democracy, and it is that vision which needs to be strengthened today, and that is what I think is the only way, at least my generation, would be honoring and paying respects to Biju Babu. And this, I'm saying this with all sincerity, because now are the times when we miss Biju Babu and personalities like him. And in those steering committee meetings of the United Front, when Jyoti Babu used to chair the meetings, and Jyoti Babu and Biju Babu had an excellent personal rapport, and they would call each other with the first names, Jyoti and Biju. And then there was something that needed to be drafted, so I was called by Jyoti Basu to do that. So Biju Babu suddenly said, "How do you get these youngsters here, Jyoti?" So then Jyoti Babu answered to him, he said, "Like you, it's not the personality, but the politics we have, that is what attracts people." And what attracted me to Biju Babu was his politics and his vision and understandings, more than the personality. And I think, neta agar banenge aap, तो बिना नीति के कोई नेता नहीं बन सकता, and वो नीति को आधार पर ही नेता होगा। तो देश को आज नेता नहीं, देश को आज नीति चाहिए, और उस नीति को चाहिए जो बीजू बाबू हमारे हम सबको सिखा के हम सबको बड़ा किया, और जो कोशिश हम लोग सब आज कर रहे हैं। नवीन बाबू carries his legacy, and I think he is carrying forward the legacy in a very wonderful way. And we wish him all the success in the future to build that glory of Kalinga, the glory of Kalinga that Biju Babu was actually wanting to build. About Biju Babu's life, the only thing I would like to share is an anonymous shairi, a couplet that is said. His life was such that I think this couplet defines his life very well. पूछो मत कि जिंदगी में कितने पल है, पूछो मत जिंदगी में कितने पल है, ये पूछो हर पल में कितना जिंदगी है. And every moment of his life was lived to the full, and that is, and I'm once again honored to be here to pay our respects and to commit ourselves to carrying forward the vision of a modern India, a secular India, a democratic India, and that is what I think the proper homage to Biju Babu would be. Thank you.